Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one. Let's fight. Let's fight. Let's fight. Let's fight. Happy to be here with you guys this evening. How are you folks doing? Well, the week is far spent, and here we are, folks, at the weekend. Here we are at the weekend, and we trust that you guys are great and well. Share it live for us. Smash that emoji button as well, good folks. Pace and power. Pace and power. We are super, super, super happy that all of you folks are here with us. Nothing short of delighted. Hope that you guys have had a good week, a good day, because you hit the ground running today, folks. You landed on your feet. You are off. Here we are at the cusp of the weekend, and we are happy to be ending the day with you folks. Great to have all of you on the live from the many places you're joining us from. Pretty Militia, we see you there, and Diane Fordyce, we see you there as well. Lester Tom, we don't forget you. Lawrence McKenzie, we see you too. Yvette Gordon, and all the other folks joining us, folks. We're happy and delighted that you all are here with us. We ring that bell one time for all of you. We got a few things to discuss this evening, folks. We got quite a few things to discuss this evening. And as I said, I hope you all set and ready. So share that live for us. Smash that emoji button as well, good folks. Welcome to our broadcast, wherever you're joining us from. We did alert you folks, didn't we? We did alert you folks that things are heating up. Yep. Things are heating up, good folks. A lot of things. The heat is on, folks. The heat is on. If you can't take it, you're going to have to stay out to the kitchen. The heat is on, and we're just happy that you folks are here with us. We love it. You wonderful, fantastic folks are here with us out front. Good to have all of you on the live, folks. We got a couple things to discuss as we begin tonight. We got a couple things to discuss, folks. How y'all doing? Folks? Share that live for us. Smash that emoji button as well. Welcome to our broadcast. We're bringing it to you folks live and direct. Happy to be here with each and every one of you. Who vex? Here we are, folks. On Friday, it's a Friday night. 600 plus of you already on the live. A couple of you missing. We're in a holding pattern. Welcome, good folks. Wherever you're joining us from, good to have all of you on the live. Grateful to have all of you on the live this evening. Pace and power. It's what it's all about. Share that live for us, good folks. And smash that emoji button as well. Please and thank you. Do that for us as we come on tonight. Happy to have all of you here with us. And we did tell you folks that the field is shaping up. The field is shaping up, folks. The dashboard, election 2025, it's shaping up. How you all doing? That's why you all. How you all doing, folks? That's what we want to know. Great to have all of you on the live from the many places at home and abroad. You all are joining us from. Great to have all of you here with us. Good folks, we love it. Thanks for joining us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's a privilege to have all of you here. Thank you so very much. The board's shaping up, folks. And this is what it looks like at this hour. And we got, I hope you all notice the question marks are reducing. As more and more people enter the fray, I hope you see the question marks are reducing, brothers and sisters. I hope you all seeing this. Who with us tonight? Welcome to our broadcast. We are happy and delighted to have all of you. Pull it back a little bit there. Yeah. Folks, welcome. Look, the comments y'all have already showed up. 900 plus of you, 4 minutes in. Lone Wolf, Patricia, Claire, Patrick, Tommy, Maxine. Good to have all of you on the live. Now how we doing? Kim Walker. I see we got Chef Scallo here, Brenda Harry, Marcia, Andrew Griffith. Good to have all of you folks on the live tonight. Folks, we are in the throes of election 2025, and it's the early days. I'll give you that. It's the early days. We're shaping up, shaping up. Who will be the last man standing in this game of the throne of Chief the Rank Changer Paul Drive? Shamin Morris, who can be the last man or woman? Ring the bell one time from my sister Simone Brooks, or woman. I noticed, folks, right? This is going to be let me warn you, this is going to be the graphic for our intro. When we begin our programs, you're going to see this. It means we're on. You're going to see this. It means we're on live and direct. But you feel it's shaping up. It's shaping up. It's shaping up. And this is what it's looking like. But before we get there, let's touch on a couple of other things. Before we get there, folks, we got a couple of other things we want to touch on. We did tell you this. Tis the season. Tis the season. General elections 2025. General and regional elections. You all set for it? 1,100 of you, 6 minutes in. Lynette, Marlin, good to have you. Donna Miller, Iban Lamy, good to have you. Dan Graves, Andy, Henrik Bascom, good to have you on the live too. Y'all ready for it, folks? I'll give myself a little space here. You ready for it? Well, I hope so. And even as we are in the early days of election 2025, we got a few things happening. We got a few things happening, folks, and here are a couple of them right out of the block that we want you folks. You wonderful folks. A couple of them that we want you guys to know about. But you know what? Just before we jump in here, let's come from this other side here. As our opener for tonight, we're still really and truly, it's going to be for the whole year, even though the budget debates and scrutiny of the estimates and all of that has been done, we are still in that period because the budget is for the whole year. And we intend, as we said, to keep interrogating this budget. And one of the things we heard in the press conference coming out of the Lines for Change today, David Patterson, the chairman of the Lines for Change, member of Parliament, Patterson said, he said a lot of money spending. But are we seeing the results of it? That is what David Patterson, the question he asks. Rhetorical or otherwise. A lot of money spending, Leslyn, Everett, Brenda, Dolly, Sheena, Marlene. A lot of money spending. But are we actually seeing the results of it? The opener tonight, folks, to get the palate a little wet, to consume what is to come. Have we seen the results? Take a look. Take a listen.
The government has been spending a lot of money. However, the result of such spending isn't securing the desired results, at least from the point of view of the people.
During the recently completed budget debate, several presenters highlighted the wasteful and slothfulness of the implementation of the government's capital work program. Between 2020 and 2024, the PPP has expended 1.505 trillion Guyana dollars. That equates to 7.3 billion US dollars.
That was former minister and chairman of the Alliance for Change, David Patterson. He said that the amount is 3 and sometimes 4 times the combined budgets of any previous government. He said that this year, another 3.5 billion US dollars is earmarked to be expended.
The question has to be asked, has the country received value for money after the expenditure of 7.3 billion US dollars in the last 4 years? All of their so-called transformational projects are incomplete, yet they continue to spend taxpayers' money with reckless abundance.
The Gas to Shore project that should have been completed already is now scheduled to be completed by year-end. This project has been badly managed, according to Patterson, and the cost has gone up further.
From available information, the government has lost the first claim by the contractor for costs and time overrun for the Wales Gas to Shore project, adding some 50 million US dollars to already inflated project costs. It is our anticipation, and information that further claims will be made by the contractor, in addition to the two that are already there.
The company that won the award against the government is Linseca CH4 Guyana Incorporated. The price for the gas-to-energy project is $2.4 billion and growing. Patterson said the GPL attracted from the government some $34 billion over the past 2 years. But despite its expenditure, the electricity sector continues on life support.
Yeah, real thing. There you have it, folks. Life support, a lot of money spending. But are we actually getting value for dollar? And we got to keep examining these issues on behalf of you, the people. Are we getting value for dollar? Spend, baby, spend. That's all these guys are about. But before we circle back to a couple other things that are happening locally, let's take you out in the diaspora to where some of you are in the diaspora. Seems to be a terrible time internationally for the aviation industry. That's how it's looking to us. It seemed to be a very, very, very nervous time. Jack, you're nervous, and travelers out there internationally are nervous as well. Look what we saw in Brazil. Just today, a small plane that said slammed into a Brazilian street, killing 2 persons. It's next door. Then in Alaska, folks are looking for a flight that went missing. Alaska. And how could we forget the chopper, the Black Hawk chopper that crashed into an American Airlines flight? And then that other one that went down in that busy street, killing quite a few persons. And so on this basis, we say it seems to be a terrible time for the aviation history, the aviation industry. And our thoughts and prayers, of course, to all of you who are traveling. We know you can get a lot of nervousness out there. Plenty. Dora. Nervousness. But our thoughts and prayers with you guys. This is nothing to fear, only fear itself. And in international news as well, you see it there. Moody has a state visit to the United States of America. Is going to be meeting with Donald Trump from the 12th to the 13th. A lot of Indian nationals have been deported as illegal migrants. So it's going to be an interesting meeting. It's going to be interesting, awkward meeting there with the President of the United States and Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. And of course, that's happening from February 12th to 13th. And folks, we are looking forward to that as well. It is such a tremendously good time to be alive. So much happening. This is not a boring period in our history by any means. It is not. It is not. That's why I'm so excited to be alive. So we're following this, folks. Some of the things, again, we're following on the international stage. And then, folks, we got a very, very nervous PPP government at home. Oh, they're plenty nervous. They're nervous for so. I don't know why. I don't know why Claudette Singh ventured into this whole issue of biometrics. It's might as well they had left it alone. I think it would have worked out better for them had they left the whole issue of biometrics alone. They don't want to give biometrics, but they want to appear as though they have some interest because, of course, they have to appease international stakeholders. So they have to appear, but they don't want the full thing. You see? It's ever learning, but never coming to the knowledge of the truth. And so, GCOM came out recently and told us that they want an expert to look at capturing digital fingerprints for their registration process. And then they got to come out now and clarify what they meant by that and the difference between digital fingerprint capturing and biometrics and the place support. I mean, this is just bizarre. I learned studying communications at the University of Guyana. Communication is what takes place when the receiver gets the message and understands it. But if you're going to come and clarify, again, it means something happened. You got to break down somewhere in the chain, in the channel of communication. So them boys got to run it back. And all of this is part of the nervousness of the PPP. Because you all know, come on, folks, we big and we got sense. The PPP and GCOM, especially GCOM, they're not acting independently. We all enough to know that by now. GCOM not acting independently. Folks, we big and we got sense. Don't come wrong, we funny. We big and we got sense. And that's part of what we heard. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform, leader of the opposition in Guyana, Mr. Norton, articulating today in their press conference. He said, them boys set to rig. But I like and I support what Mr. Norton says. It ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be easy. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's what he said. It is not going to be easy. Don't do it. Don't try it. Here you go, and well. And folks, this is some of that. This is some of what the leader of the opposition, Mr. Norton, said at that press conference. Take a look. Boom.
I don't know that we have a mechanism. I know that our commissioners have been very vigilant, and it's as a result of the vigilance of Vincent Alexander that Gokul Buru was caught. I see. Let me tell you what I think the government is doing. The government continues to suggest that the rigging occurred at the feet of the APNU AFC. They use their media, the Chronicle, which is its mouthpiece, and all of these institutions they call in news outlets. They do not carry the truth that in the Northwest there were massive irregularities, what we saw on the East Coast in terms of the boxes. They don't mention that Barra Jagdeo had to apologize because the PPP managed to make a dead woman sign. And the People's Progressive Party are masters at thieving and covering it through the use of propaganda. And we have got to deal with that, because what they're trying to do, and they come with all these phony polls that they're going to get a landslide. I think the reason that they don't want biometrics is that they are planning a landslide. But this government must know that the peace in this society will be disrupted if they by any chance believe they will rig the next election and get away with it. We believe we have committed parliamentary politics, to a parliamentary democracy. But if the PPP continues down the road of believing they can be dictators, and I expect Barraja to come and say, we will face the full force of the law, but he will feel the full force of the people, because it is evident that they are seeking to put out a narrative that they will win in a landslide when they cannot. There are serious grouses in PPP strongholds. The African Guyanese community has faced what they have faced against this regime. The indigenous people in this country now have access to social media, and they know what is going on. It is not going to be as easy to browbeat them. So as they plan to steal the elections, they are carrying out this propaganda, blame the victim. It wouldn't happen. And we will prepare knowing full well that they are preparing to steal the elections, and the people of Guyana cannot afford 5 more years of the People's Progressive Party. So we are heading in the wrong direction. And that is why we say a clean voters list and biometrics will help. If the PPP had stuck to the very recount agreement, it had a number of processes. Order 60, it had a number of steps. All they did was the first step. The second step, which was to verify and determine which votes are legal and illegal, they didn't want that. So they fought against it. What Lowenfield was done, as I understand it, is that the report was prepared and that there were those votes that were clearly illegal, had no documentation, and it is those votes that were considered not to be eligible votes. But the PPP with the support of the international community, got their way. So having agreed to, I think it was a three or four step process, did the first one of counting the votes, but the other ones that would have illustrated from the audit, which was kind of forensic, that they were involved in skullduggery, never went ahead. And so in large measure, I agree unapologetically with the pronouncements of Lowenfield at the time, because I took part in the recount. I saw what happened. I could tell you from the recount what happened in Region 1, what happened on the East Coast. And if valid votes were counted, the PPP would have still been in opposition. So don't believe I will suffer from any compunction. I saw clearly the results because I took part in that process. Let us not forget that the chairman then, when the 41 boxes with the world of illegality, the chairman said they would be put aside to be dealt with, and then she returned, I think, the night to say it will be counted. So do not come trying to create the impression that we were supportive of illegality. The illegality was on the side of the PPP, and the local government election would have established that they are prone to illegality. The level of corruption in Guyana right now has established that they are prone to illegality. The amount of ministers that are implicated in corruption have established clearly that they know no decency. They have no interest in democracy. Shortly, there's going to be revelations about the CID building and why it was used rather than stay in a government building or in Evaleri, because the friend families and favorites have to benefit. And so let us be clear, just looking at the pure economic level, the level of corruption is ridiculous. And mind you, mow down the people in Maka, mow them down. And I invite people to go and see. This is where the people in Maka were, and right opposite, you give out their land. And we are aware that it is private persons that pay to get the people of Maka off. So they're only waiting their turn or the timing to be able to say, look, the land. Because the major argument was the road was passing through the land. The road passed nowhere close to the land. Other lands were given out with no drain between the road and the land. In fact, they now put in drainage. But where the people in Maka were, you have drainage, then the area that they were on. And so this government lacks any form of credibility. And back to your original question, had Order 60 been followed, the PPP would not have been in government.
There you have it, folks. Mr. Aubrey Norton, very, very, very extensively speaking to the setting up of the rigging machinery of the PPP. They're getting ready to rig, folks. That's what we're telling you. That's what is happening here. They're getting ready to do it, but we got to stay vigilant. We got to stay vigilant, folks. We got to put on our A game. You know, the Eagles got to get back into formation, and this thing is ours to win. Oh, there is so much happening, folks. So much out there happening. I am telling you, good folks, it is ours to win. Ours to win. The numbers. One of the things we were following tonight, you heard Mr. Norton alluded to it there. The Chief Justice's rule against the persons who took the government to court, those residents from Mucka, Cane View, Mucka. She's ruled against them. And I saw on so many Facebook pages for this government, DPI and the Attorney General, oh, they're praising the Chief Justice erudite judgment and astuteness concerning the law. And then I remember during the course of this week, in the National Assembly, the parliamentary debates on budget 2023-2025, the scrutiny of the national estimates, we prevailing on them to appoint these women to the substantive positions. This is the Chief Justice acting and the Chancellor of the Judiciary acting. They say we will appoint a chancellor. We will appoint a chief justice. And look at this woman doing her job diligently, folks, in her own deliberate judgment. And they can come out and praise a sound judgment, but ain't sound enough for them to appoint her as the substantive chief justice because they're nervous. They're nervous. They don't like people that are independent. They don't like people who could think for themselves. Oh, they love people who are compromised. So when you see some folks running out saying, Irvin is my friend, he's the only person that always calling me. Watch them. Somewhere along the lines, they compromise. Somewhere. And there's about extremely, extremely compromised. So that's what the folks at Mucka that brought this case. We know what happens. And while I embrace the law, like all right thinking Guyanese, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, what transpired with those folks at Mucka cannot be right. The way those people were bulldozed off of that land and not concerned what is in this judgment. Folks, I'm saying that cannot be right. That cannot be right. The way in which those folks were removed off of that land. It cannot be right. They don't like independence. And that is why they have resigned themselves. They all know there will be no Chief Justice in the acting Chief Justice. There will be no Chancellor of the Judiciary in the acting Chancellor of the Judiciary. No. They've already have their people earmarked and they're running out the clock. Why, good folks? Why, good folks? Because they don't like independence. They abhor it. There, I said it. They abhor it. They don't like it. Tell you they're nervous. Tremendously, bigly nervous. And that's why they're harassing good folks like Terence Campbell, for instance. Because they see the writing on the wall, you know. It is only if we don't get our act together that we could lose this. It's only if we keep mama guying, shilly-shallying, and dilly-dallying could we lose this, good folks. Are we going to get ourselves together? Can we do it? I think we can. I think we can. And on this very same notion of harassment and the fact that the people do not like folks who are independent of thought and action. Saw today in that press conference coming out of the PNCR, a denouncing of the attack on Terence Campbell. Folks, a denouncing of that. My God, could we come around to that a little bit? Could we come around to that a little bit, folks? I tell you, all the nervous. A lot of nervousness in PPP camp, and it's showing, folks. A lot of nervousness, and it's showing. Terence Campbell said that he was asked by Irfan Ali to be their prime ministerial candidate in the 2020 elections. And apparently Irfan ran out this morning and said, no way, it wasn't so. You all know how to beat in the chest these days. Boom, 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 boom. Landslide. That is how Irfan beat his chest. He said, no way, he was never asked. Apparently, Tamara Wave saw some evidence to the contrary and has a publication out on this. Evidence surface of possible Ali prime ministerial candidate offer to Terence Campbell. Evidence surface of possible Ali prime ministerial candidate offer to Terence Campbell? Yep, that is the name of the story. Hear what them waves do. Hear what they did. They ain't going by hearsay. When them waves, they saw the evidence that was provided that an offer was made to Campbell in 2020. They contacted Ali, who, as I said, put out a statement on his Facebook page to the effect that no offer was ever made. Never had a discussion on this. Listen to what the article said. When contacted for a response to the fact that evidence surfaced that he, Ali, did ask Dr. Campbell to be his 2020 prime ministerial running mate, and that he had referred to this offer in the light of his denial earlier today, the president told, listen to this, the president told Demwara Waves, I have no further comment on this issue. That sound like them? I have no further comment on this issue. The point Dr. Campbell was making in putting out this information, if I was good for y'all in 2024, why suddenly I become bad? Because I have independence of thought. How come suddenly you all against me? Because I want to go in a different direction. How come, folks, brothers and sisters, if we can't trust Irfan Ali on such a little matter, how do we trust him with big issues? If Irfan Ali couldn't even come out and say, yes, we did make an offer to Mr. Campbell. Ultimately, we decided to go in a different direction. What is in that? What is in that? They want you to trust them with billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, and something so simple. They're stumbling on something so simple. Here is Mr. Norton earlier today on the harassment and victimization of Terence Campbell. Take a look.
The opposition condemns the attempt by the PPP to intimidate and victimize Mr. Terence Campbell. The opposition stands fully in defense and support of Mr. Terence Campbell as the PPP regime attempts to intimidate and victimize him in pursuit of their undemocratic objective of total control and domination of the Guyanese society. We call on all decent Guyanese to join us in condemning these dastardly acts of the PPP regime and support Mr. Campbell, who, as a member of the Investment Committee of the Natural Resource Fund, is simply carrying out his constitutional obligation of ensuring that the money from our resources are properly invested and protected against the corrupt and wasteful practices of the Ali Jacqueville regime. Clearly, the regime is hell-bent on silencing Mr. Campbell and preventing him from further exposing PPP government corruption and cronyism. We believe and know that Mr. Campbell is doing what he's obligated to do as a member of the Natural Resource Fund Investment Committee and representing the people's interests. We therefore applaud Mr. Campbell's resolve and fearlessness. Let it be known that attacking him amounts to attacking the opposition and all the honest and law-abiding Guyanese people. We therefore call for good sense to prevail to avoid the damaging consequences. We also call for the depoliticizing of the Ghana Police Force and its return to being a professional institution that ensures that no one is above the law and all those in the corrupt PPP regime that are violating the law be investigated and brought to justice. We hereby alert the Guyanese public that as the election gets closer, the PPP will seek to create political and racial hostilities in a desperate effort to bolster their sagging support. The opposition will expose and resist such efforts while protecting the rights and freedoms of all citizens and urge Guyanese to fight PPP corruption, incompetence, and divisiveness.
There you have it, folks. Mr. Norton walking you through the defense of Terence Campbell. Not that Terence needs defending, man can defend himself. As you guys out there can clearly see, they're nervous. It's a nervous government you're dealing with. Nervous government. Folks, let me tell you this. You see, when you're in a situation, when you're in trouble, it is better to stay calm and maintain a level head. When you are responding out of anger and anxiousness, 10 chances to 1, you can make a mistake. And 10 chances to 1, you can make a lot of mistakes. Plenty, enough. It's better to take a step back, reassess, and come again. But not these jagabats, trench crappos, and tadpoles. Not them. They don't want to give any political space to anybody. That's what stepping back would mean. That is what stepping back, good folks, would mean. Enter Hasruddin Mohammed. Hey, little boy, Chelsea, pim. Enter Hasruddin Mohammed. Does you ever wake up? Good. Deborah, Eva, Samuel, Marlon, Tommy, you ever wake up? Good. Huh? Heaven, Faith, Bernadette, Jason, Benjamin, my brother, you ever wake up? Good. That's how Alfred wake up. He went to bed, good. He wake up, good. And then he had some cash grant woes. He had some cash grant trouble. That's how the day started. We there. Hasruddin Mohammed out there doing his thing, helping the poor and ordinary folks in this country, folks who can go to diamond balls and swing from chandeliers, such and so forth. Was in some rural community lamenting the fact of what the folks had told him, that the cash grant had not reached them as yet. And he said, look at these, our Guyanese brothers and sisters, and all this money we have, and this cash grant can't meet here yet. Of course, I'm putting it in my own way, of course. He said, can't come here. Before we get to what happened, folks, here is what your Vice President Jack News said yesterday on the cash grant. As we're talking about Hasruddin Mohammed and cash grant happenings, here's what the Vice President said yesterday concerning cash grants.
I see them questioning the cash grant, by the way, and now we've said it over and over again. The same staff in finance got to work on the budget. They're responsible for this. We want to do it in a clean manner. Next thing, people impersonate and all of that. We're trying to address it. For the 5 regions, we didn't have the money until yesterday. Yesterday, the budget was appropriated for every region, excepting 7, 8, 9, 1, 7, 8, 9, and 4. We had money for those, and only yesterday, now that the budget is appropriated, we now have the resources to make the checks available. So even if the checks were cut, you could not deliver or get them encashed because the resources would not be available. So now we have the resources for all the regions, and people are going to get their money. It's ongoing every day. It's ongoing, but it takes time. It got to be done diligently, and people will get their money. We're not going to be rushed to do it because it's not your money or my money. It's the taxpayers' money. It got to be done properly with the right verification and everything else. You let them cut checks for 10 people that were not eligible, and then the same Klong Lal and the others would come up and say PPP corruption. and APNU would jump on it. So that is the, can we do it? Everybody will get their money. It'll be done diligently. This is a huge undertaking to get in a country. It's only the uninitiated would make glib comments about this sort of thing. The uninitiated, people who have never run anything, who just pump a zip all around the place.
Folks, Azruddin Mohammed about to clean his clock. That's what nervousness looks like. That is what it looks like. I tell you this, though. Old lions sensing their end. They're at their fiercest. They're at their fiercest. I'll have you know that. This ain't going to be no easy election 2025. But folks, before that, back to regular programming. So we saw Azruddin Mohammed said, how come? He asked a simple philosophical question. You know, everything don't have to be complicated. Something in their simplicity, there can be so much elegance. Like Einstein's E equals MC square has a theory of everything. In its simplicity, inherent is the elegance of it. He said, how come? He said, how come we could have an election for 12 hours, thousands of people, 400,000, let's put it at 450, can vote in 12 hours. But to share out some cash grants, unending. Excuses, excuses. He was so hurt. We learned behind the scenes, the man wept when he saw the plight of the poor in these villages that he went to. And then you got some half-skull, Jagabat, French crapaud, mixed with some tadpole and cricketer. They decide on their own, in their own deliberate judgment, perhaps with some intellectual artists too, mixed in there for good measure. They were going to put on the Facebook page of a half-skull, French crapaud, cricketer, Jumbie Bird, news media web page, that cash grants were being shared out at Azruddin's place of business in Lambert Street. Because who tell he to go and visit these communities? You see, once you disagree with the PPP, you have problems. So you're only good for them as long as you toe the line. So we learned that people were lined up in front of Mohammed's enterprise in Lambert Street from as early as 4 this morning. What heartlessness. What heartlessness. And we saw in the press conferences we listened to today, we tune into, a denouncing of this mischief. And Azruddin Mohammed himself in a post on social media denounced it. And if you haven't, you should. Because they said the first 1,000 persons who come with ID and this and that will get $100,000. And we learned quite a number of folks went down there today. As I said, it was denounced, folks. Across the political spectrum. Only PPP left it to denounce now. But they can't denounce if they're the intellectual artists. How can they? How can they? But in the denouncing, I love what the politician said, that people lining up at Azruddin's Mohammed place of business is indicative that in a land of plenty, Jesus, we belly full but we hungry. all the same. Let's take MP Ganesh Mahi Paul, and then we'll come to the other folks who pronounce on this issue today. Take a look, folks. Take a listen.
Look at what transpired this morning at the Mohammed's there at Lombard Street. A mischievous act by a media outlet caused hundreds of people to show up there at the Mohammed's enterprise. But it is bigger than that. It is as though these people are making a mockery, the PPPC, because that news outlet is aligned to the PPPC. We know that from the way they're operating. They're making a mockery now of this 100,000 cash grant distribution, and it's like they're mocking the poor people who needs it the most. And so the period of time for distribution of this cash grant, it is no longer instantaneous. It is no longer an instant distribution. It is a prolonged period. So this 100,000 cash grant will be given to every person over 18 years of age in a prolonged period. That is what Irfan should have said. But we cannot be hurting our ordinary people like that. And the news outlet that did that should be held responsible, because it has really created an unfair and injustice to the hardworking people of this country.
And Ganesh is right. That is what Irfan Ali should have said. You're going to get this cash grant, but it's going to be in a prolonged period, like 100 years, 150 years before you get it. Prolonged. And that is the point Ashruddin Mohammed raised. How come 400,000 people can go in a booth and tick yes or spoil the vote in 12 hours? And we can't hand out this cash grant months on end. It's a fair question. Won't you say so? It is a fair question. Leader of the PNCR, leader of the parliamentary opposition, Mr. Aubrey Norton, also weighed in on this matter today, good folks. Take a look. Take a listen.
Apparently, Mohammed visited a few villages, and I think we should give a little more context to it. And he raised the fact that these villages didn't get their cash grant. This PPP outlet took it upon itself to tell Guyana that Mohammed is going to give 1,000 people $100,000 this morning, and the first 1,000 that turned up will get the money. I agree, it's making a mockery of the people. Many people turned up. It's also a manifestation of the fact that people are in need. So they turn up, even the elderly. And then it turned out to be that Mohammed didn't say that. And they were basically, for the use of Guyanese terminology, kicking off on poor people, which is unfortunate.
How wicked can people get? How wicked? Kicking off on poor people. How wicked? How? Guyanese everywhere. Nothing is sacred anymore. In this country, not a damn thing is sacred anymore. Leader of the Alliance for Change, Mr. Nigel Hughes, also weighed in on this matter today as well. Father of his mercies. Take a look, folks. Take a listen.
Somebody very maliciously published that you can go in front of the businesses or the business of one of the prominent Guyanese, Mr. Mohammed, and you would get your $100,000 cash grant, and it would be distributed to the first 1,000 people. People were there from 4 in the morning. That is such a sad indictment of how desperate our population is, that they would see that notice overnight and line up from 4 o'clock in the morning, try and get their cash grant. And this was a joke. Somebody thought that this was funny, that they could prey upon the sad, tragic, and poor circumstances of our citizens, play upon their emotions in some sort of macabre joke, to have people line up outside the business premises of a citizen who hasn't announced that he's getting into politics, but merely has gone on social media and made some comments, and leave that very precarious, dangerous situation of people speculating. It is completely unacceptable. It is to be condemned in the strongest possible terms, and we respectfully urge the Guyana Police Force to immediately conduct an investigation of who would so mislead our suffering people that will cause them to go out there in desperation to collect a cash grant at 4 a.m.
Yeah. The PPP wicked, stinking, dirty. Them and all the acolytes, them and all the sycophants, wicked, stinking, and dirty. That's what they are. That is what they are. And that's why they're doing this nonsense and nastiness. Folks, the political field shaping up for the 2025 general and regional election. And this will get them nervous, you know. They're nervous. When you get nervous and you start reacting out of that nervousness, out of that anxiousness, out of that nervousness, you make a lot of mistakes. You tend to make a lot of mistakes. PPP, it's also when folks, get your acts together, man. Get your acts together. Before we go tonight, on an allied issue, they said that about 600,000 people registered for the cash grant. How big is this voters list? 600,000. Everybody knows that's a joke. 600,000 register for the cash grant. Really and truly. Chairman of the Alliance for Change. The closer. Chairman of the Alliance for Change, David Patterson, brought some clarity to this matter just today in that press conference out of the Alliance for Change. This bloated voters list and the cash grant. The closer.
First and foremost, the census has to come out, and that would be the basis on which anybody could make a determination. Secondly, every single region, our vice chairman reported that his father-in-law went to collect his cash grant, and while he's there, his deceased wife, this is our vice chairman Michael Carrington, you could follow it up. His deceased wife who had passed away 3 or 4 years, her name was there, his own wasn't. So when you see numbers like 600,000 persons registered or 600,000, you have to take it not only with a pinch of salt, you have to take that with a bag of salt. What I do think, Dennis, is happening is that they would say they want to cut 600,000 checks. And then obviously what we have to interrogate is who they're going to. But that number definitely does not, that number they're saying that they're using their, I can remember our member of Parliament, Rita Fernandez, posted and confirmed and stood up and confirmed it. I think even to you, Mr. Demerara, that she was there and several citizens who had died, names were on the list. So I don't know why we're going to be taking that number as an indication of our voting population. Absolutely not.
Okay. Yep. David Patterson there from the Alliance for Change. Good folks. And the final thing before we go, we noticed they have said that they are reopening this issue concerning the Grove Cemetery, and the Ministry of Health will be meeting with residents again concerning the relocation of the dead from the Grove Cemetery. It has not missed us that we are in an election year, and perhaps the PPP pulling together the voters list. You know, they like cemetery and so on. Dead people signing on nomination forms. And as Mr. Norton said, he was there at the recount. He saw the dead emerge from those ballot boxes. The then Commissioner of Police substantiated the information, who was overseas, who the dead, and all of that. So the moving of these dead from the Grove Cemetery, they could be pulling together the voters list, folks. They could be pulling together, doing some registration there. Please and thank you. That being said, they're doing some registration in Grove, folks. That being said, that's a time. That's a program. And that's the last bell. We're going to see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being a fantastic audience. 3,300 plus of you on the live on a Friday night. Oh my God, you all are some real political junkies. Have a good weekend. And you all fast. So you all got it even bad. You got it worse than the ordinary folks. You're not only political junkies, you're fast on top of that. Have a fantastic weekend, folks. We're going to see you guys back on the next one as we begin next week. Thanks for being here with us all week long. There's Real Burton. Is it Tanifa Barton? Good to see you there, Tanifa. Raquel Gentle. Good to have you. Sparkle Gonzalez. Haven't seen this name in a little bit on the live, Sparkle. Haven't seen you there a little bit on the live. Bantu King Charles Nelson. Heaven Faith. Altia Galloway. Asquith. Sandra Hanover. Iban Lamy. Good to see you folks on the live. That's our time, folks. And that's our